Okay, welcome back, Canada. FreedomPartyOfCanada.com. This is Stephen King, leader of the Freedom Party of Canada. And we're going to talk about making life affordable for Canadians for once. 9 years of Justin Trudeau and his inflation, his carbon tax, and all the BS that you've put up with for 9 years have made your family life unaffordable. They say the average price of a house in Canada is over $700,000. Unless you're in the top 10%, you probably can't afford that. Gasoline has gone up massively. Price of food has gone up massively. Life is not affordable in Canada. The amount of homelessness has gone up exponentially. Crazy. Freedom Party of Canada is going to reverse all of this. How are we going to do it, you say? Well, number one, we're going to bring down the cost of oil, and we're going to reverse all of Trudeau's energy policies. All of them. So now, we're going to say to Alberta, you go, Alberta. Drill, baby, drill, as Trump would say. Drill, get the oil out of the ground, get the energy out of the ground. We're going to make your electrical power bills more affordable by bringing in more nuclear energy. We are going to make life affordable because when the price of gasoline comes down, it makes everything else more affordable. Everything in Canada is brought in by truck. So you know that if the truckers have to pay more to drive their trucks, your groceries are more expensive, your building materials at Home Depot are more expensive, your clothing is more expensive, everything. From auto parts to auto service to everything. So, we're going to make energy more affordable. We're going to get our own refineries. Instead of sending our oil down to Texas or to the States, we're going to do it all here in Canada. That will be cheaper in the long run. Okay? When everything gets cheaper, it doesn't mean you can afford a home or rent. So what about homes and rent? Well, about 10 years ago, before Justin Trudeau was destroying the country, homes were fairly affordable, for the most part. You could get in most cities, maybe a little more expensive in Toronto or Vancouver, but in most cities, you could get a decent home for around $200,000. Trudeau comes into power and jacks everything up. So, what we're going to do is we're going to turn back the clock. We're going to turn it back 10 years. Well, what has brought up the price of homes and everything? Lots of immigrants coming in, meaning that when there was a lot of homes available or a lot of apartments available, now there aren't. There are more people than there are living spaces. No good. We are going to stop immigration right there. Number two, by turning back the clock 10 years, you've got all of these foreigners who are investing in land and property. And what they're doing is they're trying to quick flip them. They might spend $200,000 on a property and they're trying to sell it for $750,000. No more. Not going to happen. How are we going to do that? How are we going to control that? Here's the deal. We're going to look at the price that the property sold for 10 years ago. And we're going to say you cannot increase the price, the selling price of that property by more than 1% per year. So, over 10 years, roughly 10,000, or roughly in that case, 10% would be $20,000, give or take, not including compound interest and so forth, roughly. So that house that was $200,000 10 years ago should be $220,000, $225,000 now, not $750,000. That's affordable. What else are we going to do to make things affordable for Canadians? Right now, many of you, probably most of you, have massive credit card debts. You're in debt. And those banks and credit card companies are charging you top interest rates. They're basically making you a slave to debt for life. We're going to stop that. We're going to bring in a new Canadian bank. And that bank is going to offer you the best rates around for any kind of loan or credit, so that you're going to be able to pay off your debts in a short time. Now, there's a lot of people who have bad credit. Maybe they made a mistake a few years ago. Maybe they lost their job and they couldn't pay their credit cards or whatever. I don't care what the reason is that your credit is bad. We're going to help you fix it. And we're going to make it so that everybody, every adult that is working, every adult that's working will be able to afford a home. How are we going to do that? Well, you might say, wow, King, some people, they blow their money on drugs or alcohol, gambling, maybe that trip to Vegas. That won't be allowed. It won't happen. Because here's what's going to happen. Here's how we're going to make sure that you can afford your home. I'll give you an example. Now, these numbers may be a little less than today's numbers, but I'm just going to give you an example. Let's say that your mortgage is $1,000 a month. Yeah, you wish, right? And let's say that you bring in $3,000 a month in pay after deductions. What we're going to do when we loan you that money for the mortgage is we're going to garnish your pay, that mortgage amount of $1,000. You're never going to see that money. So what's going to happen is when that check or that amount of your pay is put into your bank account, you're going to see $2,000, not $3,000. The mortgage is already paid. And as long as you don't lose your job, as long as you don't screw up, you will be able to keep your house and live in your house. Now, lose your job or you screw up, we're still going to give you a few months leeway. You might be able to get another job or to make up for it. We're not just going to take away your house right away. But if you think that I just don't want to work anymore and I should be able to keep my house, no, it doesn't work that way. You work for it, the Canadian dream. Okay? You got to work for it, but you should be able to own a house and for your family. Same thing for rent. Some of these landlords that think they can just jack up the price to anything they want. We're going to look at the price of that place 10 years ago and 1% per year. We're going to make life affordable by producing more competition. So we already talked about bringing in a Canadian bank. That's going to give you better interest rates. We're also going to bring in a Canadian grocery store, similar to a Walmart. Okay? That's going to offer you better prices. Okay? To make life more affordable. We want groceries to be affordable. If we bring down the price of energy, that's going to make things more affordable. So, Canada, we're going to turn back the clock. We also want to bring in nuclear energy, which will give you cheap electricity, cheap power bills. We also want to reduce the price of your phone and internet bills. We want everything to be more affordable for Canadians so that you can afford to support your family. Freedom Party of Canada, we've got you covered. Thank you, and hope you watch more of these videos.